Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Just a Word. This is Kazak Eliyahu, and we are here once again for another of our videos. Today, we will be looking into false prophets exposed. Now, we are actually going to see how easily we can spot false prophets. Now, we know the Bible told us how to spot false prophets. In the book of Deuteronomy chapter 18, starting at verse 20, the Most High told us, "But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other mighty ones, even that prophet shall die. And if thou say in thine heart, How shall we know the word which Yahuwah hath not spoken? When a prophet speaketh in the name of Yahuwah, if the thing followeth not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which Yahuwah hath not spoken. But the prophet hath spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him." So, what is it saying here? If the thing does not follow or does not come to pass, but hath spoken it presumptuously there means overstepping due bounds as of propriety or courtesy, taking liberties. So, the synonyms of presumptuously actually makes us know of presumptuous actually gives us more understanding. Arrogant, assumptive, bumptious, cavalier, chesty, haughty, high and mighty, high-handed, high-hat, hoffish, huffy, important, lofty. It all has to do with pride. So if the prophet speaks in pride, it is not of the Most High. And it says, if it follows not, nor come to pass. Now, this is a more long-term way of figuring out a prophet. It's not so easy to use this method to spot false prophets. Why? Isaiah, for example. We know Isaiah is not a false prophet, but there are still things that Isaiah prophesied and have still not come to pass. So, what would he say that Isaiah is not a true prophet? No. Sometimes the prophecies take years, hundreds of years, even thousands of years before they come through. So, how do you immediately know a false prophet? And we are going to use a book called The Shepherd of Hermas. Now, this book, if this book was being used in every Christian church, there would be no Christianity. Trust me on that. If this book was being used by Hebrew Israelites, all Hebrew Israelites, then we would not be in false religion. This book shows us up and shows us what is required of us for the sake of righteousness. All right? And we are going to, this book is so revealing. You can download this book from our website, justaword.org/downloads, or you can go to justaword.org, click on the menu, and download the book, The Shepherd of Hermas. So we're going to use this book, The Shepherd of Hermas. And by the way, for you who believe that you only need 66 books and are only 80 books and these books are such and such, we have tried this book over and over again, and it correlates with everything to do with the Bible, and it does not contradict the Bible. Okay? So let's go to the book, The Shepherd of Hermas, an eye-opener to let us know the true and the false prophets. And we go to Commandment 11, and that is at chapter 43. Chapter 43. He showed me people seated on a bench, and another person seated on a chair. And he said to me, "Do you see those people seated on the bench?" "I see them, sir," I replied. "These," he said, "are faithful, but the one seated on the chair is a false prophet who destroys the mind of the Most High's servant. That is, he destroys the mind of the double-minded, not believers." So the people who come to these false prophets are genuinely people who are seeking the way of truth, but they are being led by a false prophet, listening to a false prophet. So the false prophet destroys the mind of the Most High servant, and he destroys the mind, more specifically, of the double-minded, not of believers, which is telling you that the double-minded are not believers. In the book of James, it tells us that the double-minded are unstable in all their ways. The double-minded are those people whose minds and hearts are not fixed on the Most High. They have one foot in the world and one foot in the Word. These are those who are trying to serve the Most High and Mammon. Therefore, they are double-minded. They are not single-mindedly fixed on the Most High. And this is most of us as believers today, double-minded. Okay? So our hearts and souls fixed on this world and on the Most High, we are going to be easily deceived by the double-minded. And Christians, I'm telling you, are double-minded. They want their part in this world and they want to serve the Most High. These are not believers. Because a true believer is in emunah, is patiently serving the Most High. Now verse 2. The double-minded come to him as to a fortune teller and ask him what will happen to them. This is why Christians go to their pastors as to a fortune teller, inquiring of the pastor, what will happen to me? And the pastor will tell them, oh, this week is your week, or tomorrow will be your day, or next year will be your day. These are the false teachers, false prophets. Yes? Christian pastors.
You need help feeding your babies, God bless your darling heart, then you ought to be helped. But I'm going to tell you something, you need to be tithing off that help. That's your increase. You need to be tithing that. Well, dear Lord, Brother Copeland, I'm in poverty now. I know it. I'm telling you how to get out. That's the gospel. I don't care if you ain't got but 2 nickels. Give him the first one. Oh, yeah. For he has anointed me to do what? Preach the gospel to the poor. That's what the poor must hear. And in the gospel, giving is at the heart of breaking the curse of poverty. Oh, yeah.
And that false prophet, not having the power of a set-apart ruach in himself, answers them in accordance with their questions and their wicked desires, and fills their souls just as they themselves wish. So those who are in religion, and this is the heart of prosperity doctrine of Christianity. Prosperity doctrine teaches people that the Most High will satisfy their financial desires, their earthly, carnal desires, and they go to their pastors to divine to them, tell them what they want to hear. And how do these pastors do it? They do it with this: sow a seed.
If you have a need in your life, it could be financial, it could be physical, might be that you're wanting to conceive and have a baby, it could be a better job. It doesn't matter what it is. You need a new house, you need a house period, car. It doesn't matter what the need is. If you have a need, sow a seed.
If there's anything that you're trusting God for, if you have prayer requests, things that you want God to do for you, if you are looking for a breakthrough job, if you are looking for a blessing, trusting God for a blessing, I just wanted to encourage you and say that you should put a seed to it. You should plant a seed for it. This is what we call seed faith. And I promise you, the Bible says that as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest time will always be. So if you have anything that you are believing God for, or if there's anything that you are praying that may God bless you with this and this and that, then you should put a seed to it. You should plant a seed.
Sow a seed and the Most High will multiply your blessings. Sow a seed and you will get your job. Sow a seed, whatever.
But if you'll stay in faith, there will come a point where God will say, enough is enough. It's payback time.
The Bible says, I know you love the Lord. So you qualify for prosperity.
Tithing lays the foundation for financial success and abundance.
Tithing is the way for recession or depression to bypass you.
Here, Stephanie from Maryland writes, I sent in my first fruits offering 2 weeks later, I received, watch this, $2,400.
So now it isn't just about donating your money to a church. It becomes a case where you're exchanging your money in return for actual prosperity. You'll often hear some of these prosperity preachers refer to it as sowing your seed. The implication is pretty obvious to anyone who is watching. No, you give us some of your money and in return that value will be given back to you in some way, shape or form. It's the harvest.
I want you to go to the phone or online and sow a seed. Now remember,
somebody's son is going to be set free from alcohol because of your $1,000 seed.
And I'm going to ask you to sow an exceptional and uncommon seed of $1,000.
And click on that donation button to sow $1,144.
So God is giving you the harvest, and the harvest of the seed you've sown. You can't expect a harvest if you don't sow seed, spiritual, physical, or financial.
Their questions and their wicked desires, and the pastors tell them what they want to hear.
When praises go up, blessings come down. You'll never get blessed until you learn how to open your mouth and give God the praise. And the more you praise him, the more he'll open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing.
For since he himself is empty, he gives empty answers to empty inquirers. For no matter what is asked, he answers according to the emptiness of the one asking. So this is it. When you go to a Christian pastor, he is going to answer you according to your emptiness. Your emptiness means you don't have anything to do with the Ruach, nothing to do with spiritual things. Oh, pastor, things are hard for me. I remember a woman coming to us here a few weeks ago with a bottle, says she wants me to catch the water and pray over the water for her because she has a place where people come to rent and there is nobody renting the place. So she wants me to do that. This is what they have been conditioned with. These are false. Okay? But hear this now. But he does speak some true words. For the devil fills him with his own ruach to see if he will be able to break down any of the righteous. You see that? You see how powerful this is? That is why the false teachers and false prophets are so hard to understand, to figure out. Because they do speak some true words. Because it's telling us that it is the devil, not the Most High, who fills them with his ruach. So that ruach there that is in Christianity, you have to question it. Because that ruach that they call the Holy Spirit, the one that lets women roll on the ground, the one that only seems to let women speak in tongues and only women are rolling on the ground. I've never seen a man rolling on the ground. The other day, somebody sent me a video with somebody speaking about that. Yeah. So that spirit that lets the women roll on the ground, exposing themselves at times, we have to think now and say, is that the Ruach of the Most High? No, it says the devil fills him with his own Ruach to see if he will be able to break down any of the righteous. So that is why the devil gives him his Ruach. So when you are a false prophet, the devil will fill you with his Ruach to use you to break down the righteous. So those who are strong in the emunah of Yahuwah, having clothed themselves with the truth, do not associate with such ruach, but have nothing to do with them. So those who are strong in the emunah of the Master, having clothed themselves with the truth. And what is the truth? Psalms 119, 142. This is how you escape this woman, and we did a video on that, showing how you escape the woman. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Okay, so we have to also clothe ourselves with the Messiah, because the Messiah also is the truth, as it says in John 14:6. We use these every day, you must know them by heart. Yahusha said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. So Yahusha is the truth, and we have the Torah being the truth. So having clothed ourselves now with the truth, we can go back now to Hermas, and we will see that Those who are strong in the emanah of the Master, having clothed themselves with the truth, do not associate with such ruachoth, but have nothing to do with them. So we, who have clothed ourselves with the truth, the true Messiah, and the Torah, we cannot associate ourselves in Christian churches. That is why when you come into the way of truth, you cannot be going or attending these Christian churches, because the word says, touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. Yes? Come out of her, my people. Be ye separate. So we don't touch them. Yes? But guess what? What about those who are double-minded now? Those who want peace of the world and are not willing to follow his commandments. Those who say the law is done away with. Let's see what happens to them. But those who are double-minded and frequently change their minds. Now, this is very important here for Christianity. You see, when you hang on to the law and the true Messiah, you will not frequently change your mind, because your mind is fixed on the truth. When you don't have the truth, then you have to invent the traditions of man. You have to invent your own way and your own things, and everything will come with the traditions of man. You will be false, and you will frequently change your mind, because your mind is not anchored on the truth. Your mind is anchored on your own way, on achieving your own way. But those who are double-minded and frequently change their minds practice fortune telling, like the outsiders, and bring greater sin upon themselves by their idolatries. So it says, those who are strong in the emanah of Yahuwah, these are believers now. But it says, those believers who are double-minded and frequently change their minds, not focused or fixed on the truth, like the outsiders, like the Christians, they practice the same fortune telling and bring greater sin upon themselves by their idolatries. For the one who consults a false prophet on any matter is an idolater and lacks the truth and is senseless. So when we consult a false prophet of Christianity or a false leader, and this is not, of course, limited to Christianity, don't get it wrong, but it's so prevalent there because there are over 200,000 Christian pastors in South Africa alone. So that's why we say Christian pastors. It is so prevalent. But you have false prophets in every single belief, whether you call it Christianity, Hebrew Israelite, followers of the way, Natsaryms, false prophet everywhere. For the one who consults a false prophet on any matter is an idolater, okay, because you are focused on materialism and lacks the truth. There is no Torah in you, and there is no Messiah, true Messiah in you, and is senseless. For no ruach given by the Most High needs to be consulted. Instead, having the set-apart power, it speaks everything on its own initiative because it is from above, from the power of the set-apart ruach. All right? So you don't need to consult the ruach of the Most High. But the ruach that is consulted and that answers according to the desires of the people consulting it is earthly and fickle and has no power and does not speak at all unless it is consulted. So these are your false prophets, false teachers. They have the answer to everything that you ask them about. Yes? And answer when they are consulted. We're going to get more on that. So how, sir, I ask, will a person know which of them is a prophet and which is a false prophet? Here he said about both the prophets, and on the basis of what I am going to tell you, you can test the prophet and the false prophet. So remember, we're telling you that the Bible tells you in Deuteronomy 18 how you can find out a prophet, but we were saying that sometimes prophecies take a long time to go through. So here's how you can instantly figure out who a false prophet is. Determine the man who has a set-apart ruach by his life. So now, it's materialism that's going to show us who a true prophet is. Look at this. In the first place, the one who has the set-apart ruach from above is gentle and quiet and humble. Remember, in Deuteronomy 18, it tells us that, I think it's about verse 20, it tells you that the one who does not have the Ruach and it does not come through will speak presumptuously, which means he will speak in pride. But the one who truly has the Ruach will not have pride. He will be gentle and quiet and humble and stays away from all evil and futile desires of this age. Now, in religion, people are now quick today to say, we all fall short. We all fail him. All right, we are human beings. We are not perfect. All right, the true set apart believer, prophet of the Most High, will not say these things. All right, because he will be striving to keep away from all evil and futile desires. Even if he trips up, he will still be trying to move away from all futile desires and considers himself to be poorer than others. To be poorer than others. How many of our pastors, prophets today profess themselves to be poor? Look at the religion of Christianity. If you are poor in Christianity, it is a disgrace. If you have a poor pastor, that pastor will not really make any money. Right? Because Christians, being double-minded, generally seek to make sure that their pastors are comfortable, are not poor. Their pastors drive a good car, lives in a good house, he gets an allowance, all of that. Pastor goes to school, passes gets his theology degree, and then the church will sometimes advertise in the media, we need a pastor for such and such, must have such and such qualifications. Yes? These are the false prophets. Okay? The Most High does not take his people and send them to seminary school. Okay? He teaches his people. And considers himself to be poorer than others and gives no answer to anyone when consulted. No answer to anyone when consulted. So the pastor will be going about his business and is consulted. I tell you that the true prophet will not easily be consulted. Nor does he speak on his own, nor does the Ruach HaKadosh speak when a person wants to speak, but when the Most High wants him to speak. Okay? So, this is how you know false. So let's look at all these cues. Because some of this, I don't want to be too harsh on people. And don't want to appear to be exalting myself. So some of the comments I don't want to make them. Because it might appear as if I want to compare myself and exalt myself. So this is a very tricky teaching to do. So just read between the lines, okay? So then, when the person who has a set-apart Ruach comes into an assembly of righteous people who have emunah in a set-apart Ruach, and intercession is made to Allah by the assembly of those people, then the Malak or angel of the prophetic Ruach that is assigned to him fills the person, and being filled with Ruach HaKadosh, the man speaks to the multitude just as Yahuwah wills. This is it. Okay? This happens to the gentle, humble person who is a true servant of the Most High. All right? The Most High will speak through him in an assembly when everyone comes together and the assembly makes intercession for him. In this way, then, the set-apart Ruach will be obvious. Such, therefore, is the power of discernment with respect to the divine or set-apart Ruach of the Most High. Yes? This is how you know the true prophet. Now let's hear about the false one. Now here he said about the earthly and worthless Ruach, which has no power but is foolish. This is the one that is in the false prophet. Notice he calls it earthly and worthless ruach which has no power, but is foolish. And that is why we have been showing videos and we've been showing the prophet who have been leading people, and we see the foolishness that the people are doing, led by this man. In the first place, that person who seems to have a ruach exalts himself and wants to have a seat of honor. Wants to have a seat of honor. So he will be going around claiming titles, pastor this, evangelist this, apostle this. Yeah? And wants to be exalted wherever he goes. So this is why in the Christian church, the believers or the leaders are put on a pedestal, on a platform, having a seat of honor above others. Okay? And immediately is arrogant and shameless and talkative. Arrogant, shameless, talkative. There's a lot to cover, but we won't go into detail into each and every one. All right? These are your false teachers, people, and well acquainted with many luxuries. So he's not willing to be poor and poorer than everyone. He is acquainted with many luxuries and with many other pleasures. And guess what? And receives money for his prophesying. Receives money for his prophesying. This is why we're telling you, the true prophet of the Most High does not care whether or not you give him money as long as he speaks the truth or what is laid on his heart by the Most High. And if he does not receive money, he does not prophesy. And this is why churches are set up. This is church. You set up the building. Okay? You invite some people. You set up tithes and offerings. And now, if no money is given in the church, then there will be no preaching.
I am going to give every one of you, pastors, an opportunity to repent tonight. And then to go back immediately after this convention and restitute your ways with your congregation. Make it clear to them. Anyone who is not paying his tithe is not going to heaven. Full stop.
You see how easily you know that Christianity is a false religion led by false prophets. Look at the Catholic Church, led by a pope. Rich Catholic Church, one of the biggest, richest organizations in the world. Yes? They receive money for their prophesying. Now, can a set apart Ruach receive money and still prophesy? This is a good question. Can a set apart Ruach receive money and still prophesy? Guess what the answer is? It is impossible for a prophet of Alua to do this, to receive money and prophesy. That means as long as you are receiving money for speaking, yes, and it doesn't mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not speaking about people offering money freely without us asking. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about people demanding money, such as is done through the tithes and offering system. Okay? And people demanding money, for example, setting up Patreon and all of those things. Setting up channels where you have to pay, membership things where people have to pay to hear the word. That is what we're speaking about. Next, he never comes near an assembly of righteous people. This is it. If you are gathered together, those who follow the truth, follow the true Messiah, and follow the Torah, the Christians do not come near that assembly. All right? Because they are uncomfortable among the way of righteousness. They are uncomfortable among the way of righteousness. Instead, he avoids them and associates with the double-minded and the empty-headed and prophesies to them in a corner and deceives them. So that is why Christianity preys on the weak, the double-minded, the empty-headed, those who have no spiritual sense whatsoever. They prey on them, draw them in a corner, take them aside away from the people who have sense and deceives them with their false doctrines. Everything he says, and drawing it into a corner there, speaks of how the Christian pastors and how some pastors have a cultish way of dealing with their people. They tell them what they want, the pastor wants them to hear, and then they protect them from other people. They do not teach them and say, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. They say, no, do not listen to them. Listen to me and do not listen to them. The true prophet of the Most High will tell his people, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. If you are in doubt, come and let us speak about it and let's see what you get. So it has to be open-minded. Everything he says is in accordance with their own desires. So he's going to teach people and speak to people according to what they want to hear, and characterized by his own empty manner, for he is answering those who are empty, those who are devoid of the Ruach, because they are double-minded. For the empty vessel placed together with other empty vessels is not broken, but they match one another. So when you put empty people together, they remain empty. That is why you have denominations by belief. So, for example, a Methodist will be with Methodist, Baptist will be with Baptist. Each set are empty in a specific way. So the Baptist might emphasize baptism. The Methodists, I don't know, but the Methodists that I know, I don't think they do baptism at all. That's how they are differentiated according to their emptiness. So Baptists might do baptism, but they don't do the Sabbath. The Adventists might do Sabbath, but they don't do the feast. They are deceived according to their different emptiness. Okay? But when he comes to an assembly full of righteous people who have a set-apart Ruach, and intercession is made by them, that person is emptied, and the earthly Ruach flees from him in fear, and that person is rendered speechless and is completely shattered, unable to say a thing. So destroyed there by the empty Ruach fleeing from him whenever he comes around those who have the Ruach. All right, so that is why when you are speaking the truth, sometimes the Christian will flee from you, flee away and run. Okay? For if you store wine or oil in a storeroom and place an empty jar in among them, and then later you wish to clear out the storeroom, you will find that empty jar you placed there still empty. So it is with empty prophets. Whenever they encounter the spirits of the righteous, the Ruach of the righteous, they are found to be just as they were when they arrived. You now have descriptions of the life of both kinds of prophets. Therefore, test by actions and life the person who claims to be Ruach inspired. All right? So this is how you know how to find a false prophet separate from the true prophets of the Most High. All right? So this is a continuation in our series with Christianity, where we spoke in 2 previous videos. We spoke about the Odes of Solomon and Christianity, and also Proverbs 7 and Christianity. Now we are showing how to spot the false prophets. All right? So thank you all for watching, and please continue to watch and continue to share. Until next time, Shalom.